What's up YouTube? I'm Josh Newland. I am a college soccer player currently studying exercise science, and today I want to share with you what I think the biggest mistake athletes are making in the gym. So the short answer is I think as athletes overall in the gym we are not training and lifting like true athletes. Instead it's much more like bodybuilders. Now within my own sport, us footballers, soccer players, I think a lot of us just aren't in the gym enough, period. But as far as an overall thing, when people, like I said, in the gym, you're already in the gym, you're already lifting, I think much too many of us, and I am 100% guilty of this, and until recently really, I've been lifting much more like a bodybuilder than a true athlete. You know, it's hard, especially if you're looking up stuff about lifting on YouTube. A lot of these guys are bodybuilders. A lot of them will tell you that, and honestly I should have known better when the videos I was watching about exercise were saying how to build a bigger chest, how to work out your quads. When you're looking at stuff that's focused on specific muscles, muscle groups, and especially with titles like that, how to get a six-pack, how to do this, that is a hint. It's probably more of a bodybuilding stuff, especially they're going, this is how you work your lower chest, your middle pec, upper pec, all that stuff. You know, in certain YouTube channels out there, they're mostly bodybuilders, and a lot of times they don't tell you that. And I was doing tons of volume and not as much focused on power, strength, explosiveness, flexibility, mobility, balance and stability, all of those things which are much more important to an athlete than just having some muscle on you. So I want to just call this out because it's something I've messed up, and until recently, especially since I've been to college, realizing what it means to really lift and work out as an athlete should, and specifically as a footballer, as a soccer player. And in high school I played football, and when I was in football too, a lot of that was perpetuating of just doing a lot of volume bodybuilder kind of workouts, and not as much, we weren't doing as much power, explosiveness, flexibility, mobility, stability, balance, all that kind of training. We did do compound lifts fairly regularly, which are important for that power and strength, but I think we need athletes in general to really start thinking about how are we using our time in the gym. For example, like I said, as soccer players, most of us are just not in the gym enough, period, because as endurance athletes, your time in the gym is really your only chance to build strength, power. You need to build muscle too, and lifting is one of the best ways to prevent injuries. I do not know why we still have these myths going around that lifting, especially lifting heavy, is going to make you heavy and slow somehow. It is just ridiculous. There's no science for that. It doesn't make any sense. Lifting heavy will not make you heavy. Eating more than you're burning makes you gain weight. Not actively being in the gym and lifting right as an athlete will make you slow. Become Elite did a great video on this where he talks about if weightlifting will make you more or less agile. Surprise, it makes you more agile. It is one of the best ways to build strength, speed, and power, because as endurance athletes, when we're on the field, when we're training, most times we're out there, we're getting conditioning in. We're working on our endurance, stamina, and ball work. If you're not in the gym, period, that's a problem. If you are in the gym and then you're still doing lots of reps and sets and volume and endurance, you're never gonna build and reach the potential that you could have had for your strength, power, and speed. You know, I took human performance in the fall, and my professor really kind of pointed this out to me, like, if you don't lift heavy, if you don't do those compound lifts and take advantage and be efficient with your time in the gym and work on those things that you can't do on the field, then you're just not gonna really build strength and power. And you need to think about, this differs from sport to sport, specifically being football. I know most of my viewers play football, play soccer. What good is it doing if I'm doing 6 different exercises from my chest, shoulders, biceps, things like that, trying to work on the different head of my biceps, on all the different, areas of a muscle? What good is that? Is that really the best use of my time in the gym when I have access to a squat rack, spot to do deadlift, I can do plyometrics in there. You know, it's just not a good use of your time. There's no reason to be doing that. Like I've said in other videos before, I always put my core work first, then I do plyometrics or explosiveness, then I do my heavy compound lifts, then I'll do maybe 1 or 2 exercises where I do focus on that hypertrophy range, building muscle, and then I'll do either some kind of finisher for muscular endurance or some balance stability work. Whereas before, and I just see a lot of athletes, they go in, they barely work on strength or power at all. They do they'll do, you know, 5 different exercises for one specific muscle. All those exercises they do, they'll be doing 3 or 4 sets, you know, 8 to 12 reps, just focusing on building muscle, not really building much strength or power. And the way you build strength and power, you do about 2 to 5 sets of 3 to 5 reps. If you want to build muscle, you do 3 to 4 sets normally of 8 to 12 reps. If you're going for muscular endurance, you do 15 reps or more. And of course, you know, you can still build some strength when you're in the hypertrophy range, the muscle building range. You can still build muscle if you're working on strength, but those are what you're primarily focusing in on in those ranges. As athletes, we need to educate ourselves and not just take the buff, swole, ripped guy's opinion on YouTube or the guy in the gym that is telling you, nah bro, you need to focus on hitting this side of your delt, and this is exactly how you do it, and this angle that you do it. And coaches need to start educating themselves so that they educate their players on how to make the best time in the gym, to keep them healthy, to prevent them from injuring themselves, and to be the best athletes they can be. Another thing is these splits. So many times the splits are focused on, you know, back and buys, tries and chest, and just a day for shoulders. If you're a soccer player and you have a day in the gym that is just dedicated to working on shoulders, you are wasting your time. Please hear me, you're wasting your time. Now I understand, especially when you're younger, when you're first starting, you want to build muscle, and you will build muscle regardless of what your aim is. You're just naturally going to build it because you're getting started. But if you have a day in the gym, like I did my freshman year before I knew better, just dedicated on shoulders, traps, forearms, stuff like that, of course, you're indirectly working those. You should focus in on them from time to time. But if you're spending a whole day in the gym, 2 hours, and that is all you're working on, you are wasting your time. It would be a much better use of your time to, instead of having a day focused on that, have that day, I'm going to really focus in on deceleration, bounce, stability, injury prevention for my ankle, my hips, things like that, some deep stretching, foam rolling, let alone actually lifting right. In this video, I can't give you guys the exact formula, the exact program or answer, but I just wanted to call out the general problem I see and that I am guilty of. Of course, I don't want to neglect certain upper body muscles. I still do upper body focused 2 days a week. And again, this is an evolution of constantly trying to figure out how to spend my time the best way. But when it comes down to it, you need to think about what is the best use of your time, what is making me a better athlete or not. Regardless of the sport you play, if you're spending 2.5 hours in the gym and you're just focusing on 2 different muscles, that's not training like an athlete. As an athlete, you're using multiple joints almost constantly. Another thing is, if you're doing legs, try to work on legs, single leg strength, single leg power. Do exercise where you're working on one leg at a time. Specifically for my footballers out there, if you're on TikTok, I'd suggest going and watching Noblet Strength. Hopefully I said that right. But he has lots of good videos where he just calls out the guys that are spreading misinformation about lifting and things like that. And he is a power lifter, insanely strong, and he used to be a professional soccer player, professional indoor soccer player as well. Obviously Become Elite has a lot of great videos, but something to keep in mind, I think he's 27, 28, 29. So he is at the point where he is trying to maintain muscle, maintain strength. A lot of what he does is injury prevention. If you're a younger guy like me, I'm 20, we need to be really focusing on strength, power, and explosiveness, because you only have a certain amount of time where we can really build on that and keep increasing that before we get to the point where we just want to maintain. So just be aware of what you're watching out there, guys. Be aware of who you're listening to. Really think about, is this something that translates to the game? Now, some of this you need a balance of, because I've heard people say you should never do a full squat because you never do it in the game, which is also just as absurd, because if you're not doing a full squat, you're not getting the full range of motion, you're not getting the full flexibility, mobility through your hips, and you're not really building up that strength and power through your posterior chain, through your glutes, your hams. So don't try to make every single lift in the gym exactly like a movement in the game, but also think about that. If I'm doing 5 different exercises for biceps 2 different days a week, come on. Any sport, that's just a waste of your time. So seek out guys that you aren't just looking to them because they are ripped, because they're buff, swole, whatever you want to call it. Be looking at coaches that are true strength and conditioning coaches. Be looking at coaches specifically for your sport that also know something about lifting and working out. I hope you guys can take something away from this. I hope it benefits you, because it's something I'm still learning. Like I said, I'm not a full expert, and I can't give you a full program. That differs on every person, on every sport. But I just wanted to call out the biggest problem, the biggest mistake I see athletes making when they're in the gym, when they're lifting, just not being efficient with their time and not training for stuff that will really benefit you as an athlete and for your sport specifically. If you like this kind of content, let me know in the comments. Most of my videos have been more about training stuff around soccer and taking you through my journey. But if you want more videos about this kind of stuff, as I learn, I will be making more of this. Like I said, I'm studying exercise science, but just let me know in the comments if you enjoy this. So please also subscribe. I make videos twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So thank you again. I will see you on Saturday.